This is definitely a late review, but man, am I glad I saw this movie. This movie was fantastic. Hi, I'm Mac the Movie Guy, and this is a review of Promising Young Woman. Just as a heads up, I am a blind movie critic, so that's why I do this on my iPhone, and there's like not great at video editing, so it's just me. There are no special effects. You get what you get. You get what you pay for, and I'm not asking you to pay for anything. So that's what you get. What is Promising Young Woman? Yeah, it's an Oscar nominated film from last year. I actually didn't see it. I don't know, by chance, I just didn't get to see it around Oscar season. By the time, it didn't win. So then I just ended up not seeing it. So I came around and finally it was like HBO Max was like Promising Young Woman suggested, and I was like, you know what? I really want to see that. So it's on HBO Max right now. It does have audio description. That's a win for us. That's awesome. So what is this movie about? Man, what is this movie about? Yes, this is the kind of movie that you would expect would be made in this day and age. This movie centers around a young woman, I guess a promising young woman by the name, who is Carey Mulligan, and she had a roommate who I guess you could also call a promising young woman, who unfortunately is no longer with her anymore, and as the film develops you sort of learn more about that. And she is sort of on this revenge plot against toxic masculinity and men and date rape and everything around that culture. She purposefully shows up, pretends to be drunk, and waits for a guy who, is trying to act like he's a nice guy. And he's like, oh, let me just take you, let me get you home. Of course, I always end up taking her back to their apartment and going too far because the girl's drunk. And she's like, no, I can't, no. And it's great because she snaps out of it and she's like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh shit. And it's really a great film. I loved it. I knew kind of what it was about, but I didn't know the tone that it was going for, and I didn't expect the moments. I just knew generally what the film was about. And man, this revenge storyline, this plot that she follows is fantastic. There are so many scenes. I'll try to not go too spoilery here and spoil too much, but it's just really nice to see Carey Mulligan in this role, as a person who's going after not just the people who wronged her friend, but also just general people who align with that sort of same behavior, who might also one day do that to somebody else, and teach them a lesson so that hopefully they're too scared to ever do it again. And she gives a great performance here. We don't get enough of Carey Mulligan in movies, definitely, but she's great every time she shows up, whether it's Great Gatsby and Education or this. I mean, she knocks performance after performance out of the park. I think she's a great actress, and I think she'll continue to do great things. The odd thing about this is it's such a great movie, but it's populated by actors you wouldn't normally see in this type of movie, like sort of comedic actors or TV actors. Like we've got a mixture of like Bo Burnham and Alison Brie and Laverne Cox and Chris Lowell. And it's just, it's not necessarily the people that you would expect in a Best Picture nominee. So that was refreshing. It subverts necessarily your expectations because you don't necessarily know what she's going to do in each individual circumstance. My favorite one was when she got back to the dean of the university. That scene was amazing. That scene was so good. Man, she got that woman so good. Yeah, I hope people see this, because this is a discussion topic film. This is the kind of film where you can go around to people and you can be like, hey, did you see Promising Young Woman? And the person's like, oh yeah, I saw it. We need to talk about that. Like, this film is not the kind of film that you just passively watch and you're like, yeah, I saw it. It was all right. And then, like, nobody wants to talk about it. This is a film that I feel like everybody would want to talk about on some level. Like, you're going to have an opinion about this film. There's no way to not have an opinion about Promising Young Woman. You just, once you see it, you're like, okay, I've made up my mind. You know, and maybe you don't like it. Maybe you're like, oh, this is terrible. It sends a terrible message. Some girls can actually try and do this. We're always worried about copycats. So we're always worried about, we're just giving people ideas. Like, it's, all right. I love that that's the takeaway from this, not all of the other problematic behavior that happens in the film, but just the idea that somebody might, you know, stand up for herself and decide no more. Yeah, it's a great film, great performances. Emerald Fennell, great directing, great choices. The tension here is palpable in every scene because you don't know what she's gonna do. My favorite part actually was the notation of graphic violence, like at the beginning, because when you watch it, you know, there's always that warning of like rated for whatever. And I got that as I was like loading into HBO Max. It was like rated R. I was like, rated R for graphic violence. And I was like, oh shit, what graphic violence is going to be in this film? So I kept waiting for it. I was like, where's the graphic violence? And I kept waiting for her to like decapitate somebody or just finally have enough. And I just kept waiting for that moment. And because I didn't know where it was, I was like, graphic violence. It's not just regular violence, but graphic violence. You'll figure it out, but it'll be there eventually. You'll figure out the graphic violence to it. But yeah, I love the anticipation for it when it came, which is just a side effect. It's not even really a part of the film. I ended up having that just because of how I watched it. This film has excellent audio description. It really it hits every sort of like little note that you need to know about like people's facial expressions, like how impassive she looks sometimes, how she's like watching other people get drunk and she's like, I'm sober and I'm just waiting for you to screw up so that I can, you know, move on with this. Like there's so many times where she's just like watching somebody and you could tell that she's just like had enough. And it's all through facial expressions, and the audio description gives you her reactions to things without things we would never pick up on without the audio description. Like I feel like I got so much more out of Carey Mulligan's performance in this film, simply because of that. You know, I love little details too. Like I loved knowing just stupid little things. Like there's a scene where she blows bubblegum, and they actually said blue bubblegum. They didn't just go for bubblegum. They wanted us to know it was blue. It's not really relevant to anything. The color of the bubblegum is not actually like a plot thing. It's not, blue is not representative. It's just, it was a nice touch to know, because I feel like so many people would just say she blows a bubble from gum, or however you want to put that, you know what I'm saying? But and not put forth the color of the gum. There's a cell phone case that we're told what's on it. Just every little detail and the little emojis that pop up. Sometimes when I've seen things, usually in TV shows, when people are texting, we don't always get the best audio description during texting sequences. So I loved that when the texting comes up, because it's such a pivotal moment in this thing. I love when the texting happens, that we get like a really good audio description of that. So audio description, absolutely on point, absolutely necessary too, for you to be able to really understand this film and really understand what's happening. I would say. I couldn't imagine having watched this film without audio description and having the same experience. I think I probably would have been like, I don't get it. I think there would be things about the film that I don't understand. I don't get because I wouldn't understand certain scenes. But, yeah, I loved it. I highly recommend it. I'm sorry I didn't see this film last year. Man, Carey Mulligan should have really been in the race. I know there was a lot of conversation about it being really between Meryl Streep and Viola Davis, but what Carey Mulligan did here is also equally fantastic. Of course, I also that year really loved Vanessa Kirby in Pieces of a Woman. So, I mean, it was just a really strong year for nominees. Yeah, great film. Watch it. I'm going to give it an A. That's really easy. I didn't have to think about that very, very hard at all. I had already made up my mind even before the film was over. I was like, this is an A. I don't know how they're going to screw it up. I'm at A right now. As long as they just stick this landing, I'm there. And they stuck the landing. And I was like, all right, A, done. So I recommend it. As always, let me know what you think in the comments. Did you like Promising Young Woman? Did you see it already when it came out? I know I'm like a year late. I apologize, but at least you're getting something from me. Maybe you never saw it. So maybe this is like that final push you need to check out Promising Young Woman. It may not be for everybody, but I would question why it's not for you if if it really is not your thing. Do some soul searching as to why that may be. Do you actually believe it's not a good film? Or if the subject matter bothers you, why does it bother you? Go with that. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out MacTheMovieGuy.com for more of my reviews. And as always, you can swing on over to our good folks at the Audio Description Project and give them a little look-see to see what your next movie is that has audio description and where it might be streaming or available for on-demand or even a TV show. They're great for that. So until next time, make sure you watch good movies and make good choices.